This is Mainstream Metaphysics with your host, Nick Newmont.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Mainstream Metaphysics. It's Tuesday night in Los Angeles, as usual. I'm Nick Newmont. Joining me tonight is Rachel P. Collins. Welcome. We have a lot of fun stuff planned. And tonight is our obviously pre-Mercury retrograde show. We're a little late coming on the air. And before we started, we were joking about it. I mean, it is what it is. So before we jump into everything, I'd like to back up for a moment and say thank you to everyone who attended our open house last Saturday. It was a lot of fun. People made pieces of art. Some of the pieces that we featured on the show last week, the selenite, the lapis, we sold some great pieces. I mean, it was really cool. And everyone who attended got a prize. And we were thrilled to be able to do that. Including Mr. Ed back there. That is Ed Hunt back on the board, taking care of us every week. Thank you, Ed. Coming up, okay? It's like I'm sitting here and looking at the fact that it is December the 5th. The holidays, we're in the thick of the holidays, and it was 82 degrees today here in California.
It was 83.
83, but who's counting? Good Lord. Yeah, I went outside. I was putting more lights up and doing all that, and I had to go help coach at the high school today, and I wish I had worn shorts. I mean, it was hot. It was really hot. And anybody that's watching this around the country, different places, are cursing us at this moment for complaining about heat. I'm not complaining. Coming up next week, I want to talk about next week. That's the 12th. Kim Falcon, who has been on my show and Audrey's show before. She is a medium, a channel, a hypnotherapist. Absolutely delightful. Will be joining me, and we'll be talking more about, 2024 and what the year ahead looks like for us. And a lot of things we're talking about, or what's 24 going to look like, because they want to know. And then, of course, Audrey will be on Conscious Mind Tripping tomorrow night here at the studio. And as I think you've watched long enough to know now, we are the Newmont Consciousness Network here at Conejo Valley Talk Radio. And this is what fourth show, I believe, here on this network. And it's really cool, and a lot of cool things planned ahead. And this show started 4 years ago on LA Talk Radio, and you, my dear, are familiar with LA Talk Radio.
Yes, I am. I had a show, we had like 18 episodes with Eddie Connor. So we, discussed a lot of the similar content. We had astrologers, we had some feng shui people.
Right.
We even had, my favorite was the animal psychic, though, because I love animals.
Yeah, you do. Right. So, first of all, welcome, your first appearance to the show. We met a few weeks ago. You were referred to us by a friend of a friend, and met you. And as I said about Kim Falcon a moment ago, that she was absolutely delightful. You are too. You have such a wonderful energy that you bring, so soft and loving. Tell us about you before we get into cards and psychic. Who are you?
That's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that one out. No, I am originally from the Midwest, so I have a strong hard work ethic, and I've been in the restaurant business. I've been in broadcasting. I'm a writer. I've done some radio work. I've done some acting work, and basically, I've had a lot of different jobs myself. I've had my own pie company. I've had my own dessert company. I sold enough pies to make my first short film. And then a hobby of mine, which I've just really tuned into, is the cards. I have done cards since I was 14 years old. I actually have my very first deck right here, which is similar to yours.
Yes.
But mine's a little bit more worn. So this is my very first, given to me by my childhood girlfriend. And then, as all kids do, they have the Ouija board and whatnot, or maybe not all kids, sorry. A lot of, what do you call it?
Metaphysical kids.
Not metaphysical. I was going to say inquisitive kids, which I was definitely one of them. Yes. And I actually got brought into the dining room table one night when I was 12, and my parents sat me down. I thought I was in trouble. And they told me that, we need to talk to you about something. And I said, okay, because it was a formal dining room. And then all of a sudden, my mom and dad is like, Rachel, we know about the Ouija board. So I was like, oh my goodness. So they said, I had to get rid of it. But my girlfriend Lisa lived up the street. And so basically we went to the same church. And so her parents didn't care so much. So I was able to fend it off on her. And then we still got to use it. Uh-huh. So that was one of my first experiences. And also as a child, I really loved this experience is when we used to do sleepovers. We girls would do the light as a feather, stiff as a board. That to this day still creeps me out. I can't believe that actually works.
Right.
The energies that, and I've studied so many things. I'm a journalist at heart, but I also am obsessed with science and how can we make the spiritual, be supported by the scientific, metaphysics that's out there.
Well, and I love that when you say spiritual and science, I love, and Audrey is really all over this, like Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have integrated science and spirituality, so it's understandable for people that are more scientific. Because it's really hard to explain away mysticism and ritual and things like that. Now, since you started as a young woman into cards and the Ouija board, first of all, I've got to ask this. Are you psychic? Are you a medium? I mean, you can't just do that without having some kind of gifts.
Well, so as a child, I've had psychic dreams. So I wouldn't say that I am a psychic person. That's a different gift. But I'm very intuitive, and I have I've had psychic dreams. When I was a child, I had this dream that I was on a school bus with two other girls. And then I had the dream again, the one girl moved in. Then I had the dream again, the other girl moved in. So I used to think as a kid, if I don't know them, I'm going to meet them. And then I thought, of course, I'd meet my husband in my dream and then I would meet him. But that just happened, at a bar.
But I it's funny, and people know this. I did dream Audrey 3 months before I met her.
Oh, my goodness.
So they know that story.
I love that story. Well, yeah. I get to hopefully hear it again.
Yes.
But also, so, I would say that, when I do my cards and I'm giving my friends readings or clients readings, it's just really important that's interactive. And sure. I believe that, energy changes, just like in the stars with astrology and everything else. Things are nothing is specifically set in stone. And that's what I like about doing the cards. And so if you have a question for the day, you can, see what's going to happen. But then if you'd like, let's say you get a negative card that you don't necessarily like, you can do something to change that.
It's really kind of funny. We throw language around in the English language, and there's all these euphemisms and things like that. So, having said that, there's a lot of people that don't believe in what you and I do, all right? I don't believe in cards. I don't believe in astrology. But people throw sayings around like, well, I guess it wasn't in the cards, or I guess it was in the stars for me. Well, if you don't believe that, why are you making cosmic references? Well,
that's another interesting point. I have a philosophy that I believe you are a third your sign, you are a third the way your parents raised you, and you're a third your peer group. I don't believe you can blame your parents for everything that you do. I don't believe you can blame the stars for everything, and I don't believe that you can make blame your friends for making you jump off the bridge.
Right. Well, and that's it. And when people do that, then they're playing the victim.
Exactly. So I like to try to integrate all of the, what you're talking about into everyday life.
Free will and choice.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have that. And that's one thing about Western astrology is that it's not fatalistic like some of the other Eastern astrologies, where it says you can't this and this won't work. And I believe that we have choice. And whether it's looking at astrology chart or looking at the cards, there is probability in that. Like, for instance, I recently did a reading for, both of my daughters wanted readings, and they were so accurate. And this is all in the last week and things that took place. So, I mean, when you use cards as a medium and the imagery, and this is something I want to get from you, even if you don't qualify yourself as psychic, that imagery goes into the third eye and starts telling a story, and you relate, to what that imagery is. So how much do you, and so much with the cards we want to talk about, when you look at a card and that card tells a story, and obviously you created your own deck, so you're telling the story twice, once from the author, the writer's perspective, and then you as the reader's perspective, which I've never created my own deck. It's all the other decks that I use, but it's fascinating for you to use your own, you know where I'm going with this. It's like, what comes into your mind when you look at one of the cards? Where does your mind go? Does it stay there? All of a sudden, all these other images come in.
Well, it's interesting. So once again, I sometimes will hear something, to say something, kind of a knowing. But what I have learned to do is I have taken, are you familiar with Madame Lenormand? Is your audience? Okay.
Sure. They're not, but
okay. So there was a French psychic named Madame Lenormand who was the French psychic to Napoleon. And her card deck is only 36 cards, and they're picture cards. So they're like reverse negatives. This is Titania's version. And what I like about her cards, if you're starting out simply, is you can look at the card and you can get an energy and a feeling about something. So like if you draw the man and like you have a question about the man, and then you draw the heart, and then you draw the scythe, you know that maybe there's a divorce coming. So what I like, again, the images in my head, they just kind of they just tell a story right there.
Right.
Like you don't even need to know what something means. You know how you feel when you see a card.
Right.
So Monty Farber and Amy Zerner are Amy Zerner's the artist of the Enchanted Tarot, I believe it is, and she is an artist, and she has made these amazing tapestries where she's literally putting art, like she's reading the art, she's taking her soul, putting it onto the card, and then using what she knows about tarot to also incorporate that into her own deck. And so for me, when I created my own deck, I really liked to be able to tell, it's geared toward women, but obviously it's for anybody.
Right.
But I wanted them to be able to see themselves in the cards. And so I don't know if anybody's familiar with Doreen Virtue cards.
Many of them are.
Okay,
yes.
so the fairy cards and the goddess cards, I wanted to have incorporate women onto the cards and shapes, every shape, size, and color. And I wanted people to really be able to relate to themselves. And also in oracle cards versus tarot cards, I wanted to also make something a little bit more quote unquote mainstream. So like there's no doctor card in the Madame Lenormands. You have to have a combination in order to get that. I have a doctor card in here. It's a stethoscope. I had one client pull that card and she said, I know I need to go to the doctor. And she starts laughing because I was a little nervous, to be honest.
All right, so we're going to call a timeout for a moment here because you said two things and we owe it to them to explain. All right, so a tarot deck is something that is from the original artistry, the 78 cards from the major and minor arcana, all right, which they know. But you said the word oracle. So how is an oracle deck different from a tarot deck? And there's thousands of variations of the original tarot deck.
So the main difference is that an oracle deck can be, here's Britney Spears. This is,
what?
Yeah, no, I love my Britney. And also she was, the lady who licensed her is, she's from Minnesota, journalist from Minnesota. So basically.
You betcha. Don't you know?
Everybody says that, but by the way, Fargo is in North Dakota. Okay.
But I have friends from Minnesota and they talk like that. That's funny.
Well,
I have to tell you something really funny is that years ago, a friend of mine from Minnesota gave me a cassette that was called How to Speak Minnesotan.
Oh, my goodness.
And I laughed so hard. I listened to that so many times. It was priceless.
Oh, don't you know? Oh, my goodness.
You betcha.
I can't stand that. But anyway, another.
Fargo's a whole different story.
Yeah, Fargo is. Yeah. Yes.
Phew.
We'll keep Fargo and Fargo.
Yeah, exactly.
But basically the oracles, I guess oracles maybe this way. Okay, so they have 44 cards. They can have 44 cards. They can have Gabrielle Bernstein. She wrote Universe Has Your Back. Hers is 52. Mine is a combination of a tarot and an oracle, which is 68 cards. So there are no rules. I have an animal deck that I think is, I think it's 54 cards. So the main difference, and also the main difference is tarot is archetypal foundation, that is many, many hundreds of years old. Sure. And so there is the major arcanas are, 0, the Fool, through 21, which is the World. And that's like the hero's journey. And those are really impactful, important cards if you pull those. And then we have the playing cards version of the different suits, which are, the court cards. So they're important, but they're 1 through 10 of a sword, an ace, a pentacle, and a cup. So it's just, they have more finite meanings usually. But what I do is I have many different tarot decks that I like to read the artwork, because the artist, once again, interprets their idea of what the Ace of Wands is. And then I get an idea of what that client might be going through based on the artwork.
Have you ever used the Crowley deck?
I think I have that one.
Or the Thoth deck?
Yes, that one. Yes.
That when I use that deck, and some of my people out there I've used it for them. I use that deck when I'm looking at legal things or things that could be underground, because it's a heavy deck.
Yeah, the energy on that is pretty intense.
Yeah, it is. And I pull that out if I feel there's some kind of subterfuge going on, because that deck kind of goes underground. It's very Scorpion.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, and I have, it's interesting. So I have a black and white deck, which I kind of feel like represents kind of the similar tones. Surely. The artwork is, I didn't actually care for it. I got it as a gift, but honestly, when I started reading it, it made so much sense to the client. And that's what it's about. It's about helping the client. It's about helping people help themselves through the artwork and the energies that are going on when you pull the cards.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a deck called the, oh my God, what is it? I forget now.
Is it new?
It's newer over the last 10 years, and it's the reverse. You're looking.
Oh, I thought that's what that one was.
This is the original tarot. But this one is where you're looking at a reverse angle. So that one's really cool. So what caused you to develop your own deck?
Well, another interesting story. I have a lot of art projects, and it was not on my list. And 2 years ago, January 16th, I woke up one morning and said, I have to write my own deck. And I started handwriting out all the cards that I wanted to do, because once again, usually when people create something, it's usually when there's a need for it or they're not finding it for themselves.
Right.
So I felt like I wanted to create a deck that was, again, for women, and that represented more than the 36 Madame Lenormand cards. So, and again, I use a lot of the principles between numerology and certain pictures that, like number 13 in my deck is, the gravestone. And, that's that symbol of, 13, which is the death card.
Right, in the regular
tarot deck, so, and then number 14, awaken your artist, which is usually the art card or the temperance card.
Right.
So, I used some of that, and then, just for all practical purposes. And then we've got the wine card, which is 15, which could be like the devil card.
That's funny.
And then 16, the mirror card, which is, once again, the tower. We're always have to look at ourselves. So my cards can be used very simply or very with layers, metaphorically.
Right.
So there's just all kinds of ways.
Now, there's a lot of different kinds of spreads. We all know the Celtic cross.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you were a kid, okay, and you learned to read cards, you got your deck. Did you use the Celtic cross, or what did you do?
So I used the Celtic cross, and then I also, I believe it's Mary Greer. She wrote the book, Everything You Need to Know About Tarot, and that's
sounds right.
Pretty rundown, same as my books. And I would do, she had a 30 card, or like a whole month spread. So I would do that, and I would read number 1 is, what's your focus? Number 2, what's your love life going to be? And I would just read out of the book. And then I was at a girlfriend's house, and her stepdad, who is British, said, Rachel, I don't understand. Why are you using the book? You don't need the book. And so I said, oh my gosh, Richard, his name is Richard. I was like, you're right. And so I started, he said, shuffle the cards and give me a reading. And so I did. I just read the pictures of the cards, and it was exactly what was going on in his work life. So I was like, wow, okay. So sometimes you just have to also develop some confidence as well when you try something new. But for the most part, to answer your question about the spread, I actually have come up with my own spread, and I do a different, I don't really follow the traditional spreads.
Oh, and you are going to do a demo on that tonight, and
yes.
Love that. Yeah, there's a lot of different spreads, and when I teach tarot, there's a handful of different kinds of spreads for different events. Like there's one that looks like a pyramid. Is it a good idea to? There's one for dreams. There's one for karma. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, which is whatever you're comfortable with, and you're used to it, and it works. So do it. For you, one thing, and this is really a compliment, I think you're more psychic than what you give yourself credit for.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. No, you really are. The cards just present the imagery that turns something on in you, and I think that's true for many people. I mean, my original tarot teacher was one of the best technical tarot teachers I've ever seen, the way she would read the cards, but she would admit she didn't have an ounce of psychic ability in her. And she didn't, okay? But when you have the ability to tune in beyond the cards, your readings are going to be so good because you look at the card, that card means that, and all of a sudden you start talking on all this stuff, right? Starts coming out of your mouth, and it's like, wow, settle that.
Well, and I like to record my readings when I get my own readings, but also for clients if they want one. And I have one lady who I saw actually at the gym. I'm like, hey, so-and-so, I gave you that reading. She's like, oh my goodness. She said, I've been listening to your 15-minute reading for, I guess it's been 2 months.
Wow.
So I was just like, it was a nice confidence booster. Again, just kind of getting your things out there. And what I love about the cards is that I usually start with the main deck, whether it's the Madame Lenormand card of 36 or a regular 78 card deck. We do a reading, and then I always have people end with my card. And what I love about it is that they always tie together, and which gives the client and myself validation.
Sure. Well, and don't you, not to perfect degree, but whatever's in the cards would show up in the numerology, or it would show up in the astrology. I mean, they're not going to be separate from each other. Otherwise, how could you tell this story, but then come and tell this story?
Right. And tarot, like doing a reading is telling a story. So, and people don't realize that. And I think a lot of people just, whatever their backgrounds are, whether they're, religious or they just are very logical, very scientific. Sometimes people just don't do it. My fiance is the perfect person that I love to give readings on because he's super scientific and logical, yet he's one of the most intuitive people I know. So it's very interesting.
This is a question that comes up for any of us. Can you read for yourself?
That is a great question. I do a card of the day or a spread every morning just to see kind of what the energy is. And I do believe you can give yourself a reading.
I do too.
But I also believe that if you keep second, sometimes we get so many ideas that kind of we need somebody to kind of decipher them or kind of help us balance out, just like with any decision you need to make. So I would recommend, seeing somebody to help you, uncover what you think is the best way to do something. But I love, like, when I get my card of the day, if it's my mother. So I have a mother card in my tarot deck, or in my oracle card deck, or whatever you want to call it, my Angie's Game deck. And I know that maybe I'll be talking to my mom, or maybe I'll have something to do with my dog because I'm a dog mom. So, things like that. So, and then usually 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what happens for the day. It's like a good theme of the day.
Right.
But like I said, I suggest going to a reader or a therapist, however you, get your information or get your counseling.
Have you ever had a situation with your own cards, and this is where we admit to being human, and you do the spread, and it's like, well, maybe I didn't focus right, and you do it again, and then you do it again, and there'll be one particular card that keeps coming up. And it's right.
Oh my goodness sake. Oh, wow.
And it's like, okay, all right, the message is clear. Either do this or don't do that, whatever that card is telling you.
Well, and what I love is sometimes when you don't like a card, you have your answer to your question or what's going to be happening. Or you can just try to, stay in bed all day if it's the Tower.
Right. So when you do a reading for someone, do you shuffle the cards or do you have them shuffle too? How do you?
So the way I do it, I like to be interactive with my clients. And so I have them choose either the Madame Lenormand, like I said, or one of the tarot decks that they resonate with the artwork. I ask them to look at the art and what do they really like. And so then I have them shuffle, cut the cards, and then I have them pick. I spread them out and I have them pick 4, and then I pick anywhere from 4 to 7 cards on my own. And I always say it's like a financial statement. So I say, these are your 4 cards, because because it tells me what's going on with you. It validates what's going on for you. And then my cards are going to tell you what you need to know that you didn't know that you needed to know. And so it's kind of like that underlying thing that you were talking about earlier. So, and then usually we go through the cards together, and then I'll have them pick a final card. And then if there's any other questions, then we go from there.
Have you ever had I'm sure you've had this happen. But the question is going to be, what do you do with this? Sometimes when people shuffle the cards, a card will spring out. Okay.
Once again, I go on the client. Some people, I didn't get all those cards in. I want to redo it. And then other people say, I think I'm going to just take that one. And then sometimes I had one lady shuffle, and she literally did kind of a not very good shuffle. And then she picked the top 3 cards or 4 cards or whatever it was, and it ended up being totally right for her. So I just believe that everybody's different, and I like to make it fun for people. I don't like to make it scary for people, and I just want people to, again, I want to help you connect the dots so you can help yourself.
Sure.
I want you to not need to come to me.
Right. Well, people have to make their own decisions. Given that after a few years of just quote unquote just being a psychic, I became a hypnotherapist because I wanted to help empower people. And in those years, as you're developing your practice, you're going to get those clients that want to come to you a lot. And in those years, I fired a lot of clients because they wanted too many readings. And I said, you don't need a reading. You need to go to therapy. And they didn't want to do that. And I said, I'm not going to read for you anymore. I'm not going to enable that.
Yeah, people need to do the work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's a nice check-in with people, but at the end of the day, we all have life lessons to learn, and we're not going to learn them if we continue to. And even if you're not going to a psychic, it could be just talking to your friend or your mom. They can't solve everything for you.
Right. We have to make the choice. That's part of our karma. We have to make those choices without the fear of being right or wrong. We have to make the choice that we feel truly is what's the right thing to do that will take us to where we need to get to. And sometimes there are detours, right?
There's always detours.
So we just have to take it as it comes, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was learning from my tarot teacher, and you know how you shuffle the cards like regular playing cards, one of the things that she said is that when you shuffle them in, and how with playing cards you'll shuffle back out, she said, don't do that. Right, the bridge. She said, because when you shuffle back out, you're pushing the magic back out. She goes, once you shuffle them the first time, don't push them in and go brrr. So if people want to shuffle them, your people want to shuffle them like they're playing cards, don't let them bridge them. Just when they shuffle them in, put them back in.
I love learning something new.
That was from my teacher. I didn't make that up.
No, I know, but I love that because I do it myself.
Well, it's a natural habit.
Yeah.
If you play cards. And it's like when it gets into the ritualistic magic candles that we sell. That's why we have lids on them so people snuff them. Because when you go back into my ritualistic teachers, what they say is that if you blow the candle out, you're blowing away the magic. You snuff it and keep the magic down in the container.
Okay, this is a lot of fun facts that I'm very much enjoying because my parents also had a snuffer. And I was literally wondering the other day, because I bought this candle and I had a lid. I'm like, why do I always keep the lids? What are the lids for?
keeping the magic in. Welcome to Fiction and Fact from Nick's Almanac with my guest Rachel P. Collins.
Oh my goodness. Wow. No, that's really funny. That is very funny. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm totally gonna remember that.
You know what? We all learn from each other.
Yep. Keep
We
it in the
really
arsenal.
do. Yep. These little tidbits that go back ages and ages and ages. They get passed on, and it's like, oh, some things they just stick with you.
Well, and if they get reused or just like cliches, they're there for a reason because they're true.
I really admire your writer deck because a couple of my decks look like that. And Audrey was joking with me, and my astrological ephemeris and my book of transits are in worse condition than that book. And
yeah.
And she looked at me and she said, well, maybe it's time for a couple new books. And I was like, but I like these books. There's years of magic and energy.
And you know what's so funny is I literally just brought these back out this Halloween. I just thought, you know what? I haven't seen these. These haven't seen the light of day. I'm going to start just using them. And I just felt like it was like home. It's like your very first deck when I was 14.
Right?
I mean, I can't believe it.
When I teach tarot and I use the writer deck for first-time students.
It's a great one.
But I have a deck, a teacher's deck that is as big as that book.
Oh, wow. I have lovers card that are as big as this book.
Isn't that fun? Cards.
And they're only the major arcana.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
I didn't bring, again, I could only bring so many. I have so many.
Well, it's really cool. If you would, because the camera can't see that, please pick up your basket and put it in front of the camera. Because no,
partial
it's really
list,
cool.
partial list.
It's like, look at all the cards that she has in this basket.
Yeah, and these are from Italy, so these are Italian. These are 78 cards. Actually, they're 79 cards, and these are very magical. I used these recently.
I have Italian cards too when I was in Italy.
Yeah, my girlfriend, she was, God bless her, she brought me this and a matching bottle of wine. Can you believe it? It was the Temperance card, which is the Sagittarius card.
So I've often joked that I would like to get the Temperance card blown up very big. We would have to find it, which would take time in this deck. And the Temperance card is the angel that's pouring liquid from one to the other. And I would like to have that blown up.
Here.
There we go. And
A version of it.
A
beautiful version.
That is really pretty card. And just have that blown up and put, on my bar, the top of my bar, because
Temper.
beautiful. Absolutely
I
gorgeous.
love these cards. A lot of people like these cards too, including myself.
So yeah, and I love the symbolism of the major arcana. And there are people that do readings with just the major arcana. Okay, so I better explain this, otherwise I'm going to get away from the audience. So the major arcana are the cards that go from 0, the full, or what's called the Fool's Journey, to card 21, which is the world. And then the suits are the ones that are swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. And the ones that go from ace until king. Okay, so that's the minor arcana. But some people do major arcana readings.
Yes, and like I said, the lovers one that I have of this is all major arcana.
So this is an important question. So if a person is getting a reading from you, and say you do the Celtic Cross, where there's 10 cards in that. So what does it mean if most of the cards that come out, because there's 78 cards and only 21 major arcana, what does it mean if most of the cards that come out, they're major arcana? Say like 8 of the 10 are major arcana. How does that impact the reading?
So for me, if you pull a majority of major arcana cards, that means you are significantly, I feel like you're very in touch with your spirituality. You are on your path. You are very much basically following that hero's journey versus making mundane choices. This is like a big, like maybe you were trying to get married or couldn't decide if you were going to get married, and you had all these major arcana cards. in your 10 card spread, it would just mean that there's a big future and like very impactful. It's more about the energy and then obviously the specifics of the cards that you're getting. You might have to have a breakdown with the Tower in order to get and like the Wheel of Fortune card.
Right, that's a major arcana card.
Yes.
Right
So
there.
to me, once again, it just really means that person is really in their life. They're really making choice. They're really going for whatever is like the most important thing in their life. That's what I feel like that means to me versus like the smaller cards.
Right. So let's give them a little bit of an explanation of the elements. Okay.
Sure.
So what do swords represent?
So the swords represent to me air, mental stimulation, ideas, action, energy. Like when it's windy, outside in the world, it's very things come and go, and it's kind of like people have a difference of opinion on Aquarians. Sometimes it's technically the water bearer, the water sign, but they really have an Aquarius is supposed to be the idea person.
Right.
So there's
they are an air sign.
Right. So it's interesting how some of them kind of overlap. And then, the fire cards are the wand cards, and those are action. You need to be doing action, motivating. If you're getting the 9 of Wands, which I get a lot, it's a discipline card. And you just really need to continue your focus on action. When you're getting the 2 of Cups or the Knight of Cups, there's a good type of relationship that's happening, partnership that's happening, or an offer of a new job, an offer of a new relationship.
So cups are water.
Yes, the water. And then the earth sign, the pentacle. So a lot of people think that pentacles are just about money.
Right, yeah, that's correct.
But I like to also include the fact that it's a star. So it's a circle and a star. And I like to say it's what matters to people because it's tangible. Money is tangible. Well, not really in the digital age, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So, and coins are tangible. But so I always like to say, even if it's not about money, if you're getting cards in the pentacle arena, you are figuring out what matters to you and trying to incorporate that into your life.
That's well said, because in the second house of astrology, which is ruled by Taurus, which is an earth sign.
Yes.
It does have to do with money, your possessions, but this mirrors exactly what you said. Call it intrinsic values. What's important, what's necessary. All right, what's essential. And that's exactly what the pentacles are, too. They're fulfillment on some level.
Right. And, I used to read for a friend, colleague, and he would always get cups. He never got pentacles, but he loved what he was doing. That was what he, in his brain, that's what he materialized as money.
Right.
So again, sometimes it can just be, again, depending on the person and the energies, but traditionally, that's kind of what I think.
Well, when you look at the 10 of Pentacles, whereas the person there, and it looks like a castle in the background, all the grapes, and there's kids and this
and
wise
the greyhound dog.
And the greyhound dog, yes. And that's sort of like a have-it-all.
Yes.
Okay? But when you see the 10 of Cups, you see the cups fanned like this. There is a house, there's a couple, there's 2 kids like dancing with each other. Okay, so what's the difference or similarity with the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups?
Well, they're both fulfillment, the 10.
Right.
And the one with the 10 of Cups is more, I feel like you're fulfilled with your soul. You are more happy with your, just the bare necessities. And, because in the Rider Tarot or Rider Waite deck, Rider Waite Smith, they have children and they're out in the prairie. So the prairie is very simple. When you're looking at the 10 of Pentacles, which is one of my favorite cards, I think I'm just like in a vineyard somewhere,
right.
So basically it's more of the castle, and maybe your family maybe you have a long lineage of family. Maybe you're like an aristocratic type of thing.
Right.
So your families it could denote different family, like you're coming from 2 different families. Or my third option is, the 10 of Cups is maybe you're just starting out with your husband or wife.
Sure.
And then you are graduating into when you're older and retiring, getting the 10 of Pentacles.
I guess my shirt is the Ace of Cups.
Yeah, well, it's definitely. I mean, I like the olives personally. It's making me want a martini.
It has a little sword.
Yes.
In the cup.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, wow. For being a visual artist here, reader, wow, that was really tough.
Now, when we were talking about tens, and tens have to be our new beginnings.
Yes.
It's 1 with a 0. As feel good as the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups are, the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands are very foreboding.
Yes, they are.
The 10 of Wands, the guy has the sheaves on him and he's out in the fields.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then the 10 of Swords is the guy's on the ground stabbed in the back.
Well, and here's the thing. When somebody draws the 10 of Swords, the thing is, which I have right here, the 10 of Swords.
There we go.
This is more, usually in my readings, it's more of a warning, like don't overdo it or you're going to feel this way. It's usually not literal. And, you know, because a lot of times, you know, life is busy and sometimes we get overworked. And this is just, we don't want to feel like, you know, we have to, you know, continue to, you know, we have to look at our health. We have to like make sure our health is, again, it's more of a warning card than it's, I'm stabbed in the back, I'm done. And then again, depending on what the reading is, it all kind of makes sense, you know, based on other cards. But that's if I'm just going to read this one note, one card, that's what I would say. Now, the 10 of Wands is more of hey, he's got everything on his back and he's trudging forward. So it's like, take everything that you have. Don't think it's a burden. You still need to take action because, you know, the next cards are the Page of Wands, which is a messenger card. So once you get, you know, to the page, you know, you'll start to really feel like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm getting the messages.
Let's say this, the amateur or the novice person that's getting a reading. Some of the cards are very foreboding. Like the 10 of Swords card, the person is on the ground and the sky is very dark, but you can see gold. And what I always tell people with that card, it's always darkest before the dawn. That the dawn is coming and that dark is going to lift from whatever was happening. And then, of course, in the Rider deck, the Devil card has a lot of black in it. The Tower card has a lot of black in it. And there's a certain amount of black in the Death card. Okay? But they're not meant to be bad cards, so to speak. And there's a lot of superstition on those cards that causes some people to freak out. But in the Rider deck, the Tower card, when you turn it on an angle, you'll see the lightning bolt that's hitting the tower is the pattern of the 10 Sphirot of the Tree of Life. Wow. So there's a level of empowerment and magic that comes with that lightning bolt that's hitting the tower and causing the top to pop off.
Well, and sometimes it literally can just mean something unexpected happens, like your plumbing goes out, or, I mean, sometimes it doesn't have to be a complete...
I'm going to tell you something really funny. You said plumbing. The audience knows me and how I joke. So my tarot teacher, Wendy, way back when, she's a very typical English mum. That's her style, okay? But she tells it like it is, and so she refers to, and we'd have to find the original Tower card, that she calls it in certain readings between a man and a woman, most of the time, the male orgasm. Because the way, and you just said when the plumbing goes out. And then she calls the Star card, because of the woman on the water, there we go, the female orgasm. Okay? So, and I'm going to tell you, here's the Tower card. Okay?
Oh,
there it is. And it's hard to see. So some people read their cards up and down. Okay? So this is a true story from Wendy. So the Ace of Swords in the regular decks, you see the ace, the wand, whatever it is, coming out of the cloud like it's coming from the hand of God, right? Mm-hmm. And so the Ace of Sword card came out in the reading upside down, and she said to this woman, your husband has, trouble getting it up. And the woman went, oh my God, yes.
Oh my goodness
because
sake.
the sword came out like that.
Wow,
so,
that must have been an intuition.
You think, but these are these things that you can't learn in a book. So when you
Right.
have a teacher, and I know it's fun to read books, and this is for all of you, that it is so much better to study with a teacher, because it's not just what the teacher knows. When you, myself, have done thousands of readings, those things are backfiled in there. That at this point in time, that card meant that. And when you bring that forward, it's amazing how what you learned by doing readings, not just what your teachers taught you or by what you read in books, is how important that is, because that will mean that same thing for someone else.
Oh, it's very interesting. And I just took a 20 teacher course last May with Hay House, and I learned so much more than I thought I already knew. You know, you can always learn. But
Right.
I mean, there was even somebody talking about the business acumen on giving readings, which I thought was very interesting, because a lot of people have never had a reading. So they're nervous. So they don't know how to,
Right.
respond. And so and then of course, just like the past life spreads. And I learned, just one of the ladies wanted you to, have the world, like pick a major arcana card and just like have it under your bed for a month and really learn what this means to you and let it embed with you. Just imbue into your, energy.
Right.
And it was interesting. I had the Chariot card actually, and I felt like, yep, this is really good for me.
Right?
Move forward with the black and the white. So like having balance with the black and white horse, and just really moving forward.
We have about 10 minutes left, so let's do a reading. Let's see how this works. And through the magic of television, we have a camera that's going to be able to show. There we go. Look at that.
Yay! So what would you like to do? And the oracle cards are.
Well, we use your
dated.
deck,
Yes.
of course.
Yes. Do you? What would you? I mean, do you want to just use the Angie's Game deck, or do you want to use a different deck?
No, we use
Okay,
that deck.
perfect.
That's fine.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
They're beautiful on top of that, and it looks good on camera.
Yes, they do. I did all the artwork. So again, it's a prototype, but so what I am going to have you do, because I did have these in order at the
Okay.
beginning, so I'm just going to have you kind of shuffle. Now these are, because of the square shape, you just kind of have to kind of swish them around,
Right, exactly.
without getting it on the floor.
Exactly.
And then just, kind of like, what's going on for me, or whatever.
Yeah,
you
and
want
it would just do
whatever
it-
you need to know. Sometimes it's that simple, everybody. Just, what do I need to know?
And that's where we'll take it. What do I need to know? It's always good to just get messages.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many should I pick?
Again, I'm going to let that up to, again, this is a co-creation. This is, just,
Okay, well, since I'm a 5 numerologically,
you're going
I'll
to choose 5.
pick 5 cards.
Okay, perfect.
And hopefully I'll have a full house or a straight. It's 5-card draw, folks.
I love that. 5-card stud. Well, withdraw, yeah.
Draw, yeah. Well, yeah, we're not going to draw anymore, so it is 5-card stud. Read them and weep.
Yeah, that's true.
If I see you weeping, I'm leaving, because I know something's really wrong.
No, you'll know you pick my dog. Shout out to Stanley. Okay. Okay, so you got the piano, which does not surprise me. The closet. Yeah, we can move I can move those. And then I'm just gonna.
Our piano at home is against the wall that's next to the closet.
Are you serious? Shut up!
I'm serious.
Oh my goodness! Because the next card he drew was the closet, so that's what's so funny about that.
Well, I am a closet musician.
Okay, well, let me tell
It's
you.
funny, I'm messing with you.
Okay, don't do that to me.
But the piano is next to the closet wall.
Okay.
It's true.
Well, that's interesting. So the piano, Pitch Perfect, Awakening Your Artist. Now, once again, because he talked about wanting to blow up the Temperance card, and I use the number 14 because I like that. I feel like the piano brings a sense of calmness, temperance. Just you can just kind of take your mind off of everything and just really relax into the music. And I have a saxophone, which is a different feeling. This is more of a meditative, more of a, just like that angel feeling of just know that you're being protected, know that everything is going to be okay, but you still have to just kind of keep your balance there. Pitch Perfect, Awaken Your Artist. It also talks about like, what note are you playing right now? Can you up your game? Awakening, if you are what kind of artist are, I mean, there's a million different kinds of artists. You could be a chef, you could be a writer, you could be an actor, you could be, an actual painter, or, with crystals, or, whatever,
Right.
candle maker. There's so many different kinds of arts and crafts out there. So if there's something also that maybe that you'd like to try, I would say that, maybe going into the new year, you might want to focus on that. But definitely just really, what note are you playing is what I'm getting, the main thing that you need to know about that card. The closet. Okay, so sacred secrets, reveal and record. So, and that's a number 39, which is a 12, which is a 3. And so I know you have 3 daughters, and I know that, she's opening in the closet. She's opening the closet into, and actually there is a little dog in there too. I don't think you can see her, but little Creed. And so you can see her like very, very nice shoes that are all laid out. So this is a kind of, again, one of those double meanings. So sacred secrets, what you do for a living is, you channel and you help people, you give readings, you have your show. So
Right.
you are uncovering constantly secrets of like the world, secrets of just the past and the present and the future, like just everything what you do is revealing itself. But also, the message that I'm getting for you is that I really need you to start recording. And I know you have your numerology book, but I feel like you need to really start recording, like a journalist, recording some of your material and turning that into teaching material or some other kind of material for yourself.
When the show is over and we talk to Ed, you have no idea what you just said.
Okay, well, good. Let's keep going.
Go ahead.
2 for 2. Okay, so the ocean waves, fearless and ferocious waves of wisdom. Once again, and this is an 18, and it's a 9. That's a 9 number, which is a pinnacle number. Like the the 9 of cups is like the wish card,
Right?
Which everybody wants the wish card. But so right now, I feel like with what's going on, again, you have a lot of moving parts to your life, and not that everyone doesn't. That's not like a blanketed statement, but literally the things that are coming in, and you just have to continue to be fearless, the fearless person that I know that you are, and not that, everybody has doubts on some level in the back of their head, whether you see it or not. So I want you to actually, once again, what note are you playing? Up your ferociousness, just a hair more, just even more than you already are. I know I'm asking a lot for you, but because the waves of wisdom that you are going to gain by continuing to speak this knowledge of the record, like it's gonna serve you very, very well. And I feel like also the ocean waves, I'm feeling like cross country, transatlantic. I'm just feeling very worldly with that.
Okay.
The clocks, tick tock, the world doesn't stop. So that time is of the essence. Maybe wait till after Mercury's in retrograde. No, but what I love about Mercury retrograde is you can always reassess, make a plan at least, and then figure out what you're going to do when it's not in retrograde. But yeah, just definitely, it's just kind of what it says. And this is a 4 number. It's 31. So also like the foundation, 4 is a good foundation number. So just for the 4 clocks you have also in the background. So just I know you have 4 people in your family too. I mean, besides yourself, it's 5, but just really, really kind of tune in on what everyone's clock is, and just really what is most important to you right now, and focus on that. And then you also got the same girl here, the moonbeam magic, lighting the way nocturnally. So once again, some of the things that you're going to be doing is more in the dark hours, like because I have a sun ray card and a moon ray card, which is similar but different from the tarot deck. But this is a number 1. So once again, you're on a new trajectory, I feel like, in this in this world of what you're doing.
Okay.
When I say what you're doing, I mean you're encompassing your entire career of like all the layers. Like if you had a link tree, like it would say your name, Nick Newmont, and then all the things that you do, including father. Okay, and then I drew one for you.
Okay.
Which is the gravestone card, which is gift of goodbye, generations of greatness. So I would say, once again, how do you want to leave your legacy? What do you want the future to be for you and your family? Which goes back to what note are you playing?
Okay, wonderful. And I have to say, this made a lot of sense.
Oh, I hope so.
Some of these things that you were saying, that they I'm telling you, off camera, I'll tell you about this. Yeah, it's like, I'm surprised Ed wasn't laughing back then. Thank you so much. It was really cool. And there's so much more to talk about, and we are really almost out of time. So thank you so much. And I hope you've enjoyed watching Rachel and what she knows about cards. Definitely sooner than later, come back to the show.
Love to.
Because there's so much more, and we really kind of glazed over topics and gave people a bit of a smorgasbord about things. But there's a lot more in-depth stuff about this that I would like to get into with you, all right?
That sounds wonderful.
And I hope you've had a good time.
Oh, this
here.
has been so fun.
Good. And I hope you have learned something tonight. In fact, she and I learned things from each other tonight. Isn't that what it's all about? So remember to watch Audrey tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Pacific time on Conscious Mind Tripping. She's got some fascinating things, again, to bring up and talk about. I will be here next Tuesday with Kim Falcon, which she is absolutely amazing and so angelic. And then, as always, thank you again, Rachel. I appreciate you. Remember, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. This is Mainstream Metaphysics. I'm Nick Newmont. See you next week. Good night, everyone.